You ever think about that subreddit it makes people into a millionaire like once a year? Honestly, when I was like a little bit younger, that sounded like an amazing, like the power of social media. It's like, wow, like every 6 months they make a millionaire. Then I realized that shit is actually just like the lottery. It's just like a really small version of the lottery. That's like you buy a lottery ticket for $1 and there's a 1 in a million chance you win $1 million. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a scam. Like I don't, nobody's taking a rake on it. So like it's paying out like exactly what is being put in, assuming people actually follow through and like give the dollar. It's like a lottery, but with no legislative oversight. So like much more dangerous and prone to corruption. Like just give me the lottery on that one, I guess. Like that's when we go to the Canucks games. Probably not tonight because we're leaving in the first period, but I'll buy like some 50-50 tickets. The 50-50 is like from a gambler's perspective, it's the worst thing you could possibly buy because you like all the prize money that goes in, half of it goes to charity and only half of it gets paid out to the people who bought tickets. But as a human being and not simply a degenerate gambler, I'm like, okay, that's like a better version of gambling. Is because even when you lose, you're like, well, let's just consider that like a charitable donation. Not sure you can get a write-off for that. Yeah, but like if I'm buying $20 in 50-50 tickets, I don't need them to give me like a tax receipt for a $10. If I don't win the $10 portion that would go to charity, like that's a lot of ink and paper. We don't really need that. But I know, like it's funny to me that in the world of like current normalized gambling, people are still so like anti-lottery. Now let me. If gambling has one hater, it's me, okay? All I want to say is that I feel like the lottery is fine as long as you don't think of it as gambling anymore. And you think of it instead as paying money to imagine what it would be like to be fabulously wealthy. Instead of being like, I'm going to win a bunch of money and get rich, instead of being like, I'm going to win $100 million, you give them like $5, and then for a week in your head, whenever something bad happens to you, you get to be like, but this could all go away if my number comes up. If you get too much, like, there's people that buy like tons of scratch tickets, or they buy, like $500 a week in lottery tickets or something like that. That's crazy. That's too much. But if you buy like a couple lottery tickets and then when you're having a hard day, you're just like, but imagine if I won the lottery. What would I get? You get like it's like looking through a catalog of stuff that like you want to buy. Maybe you'll never buy it, but you do get the feeling. You get a little bit of the feeling, like instead of kinetic money, it's like potential money. That's the most depressing thing I've heard all day. It's actually like not that depressing at all. It's very, I mean, I don't play the lottery. I'm saying the lottery is like one of the most normal things of all time. At least in North America. Maybe that's depressing to you. It's still gambling, you're just gambling less. Yeah, no, I think I think you've got me like exactly. I'm not a principle guy. Like I think everything exists in gradations. Like people will say things like, I mean, we're bringing it down to like this is making it a much more serious issue. I don't like gambling, but I do think there's a harm reduction aspect like to the lottery. In Vancouver, people will be like, it's unrealistic that like someone addicted to heroin is ever gonna quit cold turkey and then like become a CPA or something like that. Well, yeah, but like, if we could put scaffolding in place that's like they do it less often. When they do it, they're doing it in a safe place that's less likely to cause them to be physically harmed or physically harm other people, commit crimes, or require emergency services or something like that. Like maybe not everything has to be like, oh, why would I even exercise if I'm not going to get a six-pack? Maybe it could just be like, the harmful effects being minimized is actually like a good thing. Now, I'm not trying to argue that the lottery is necessarily like a net societal good. All I'm trying to say is I think there's a disproportionate amount of ire pointed towards The lottery, which is relatively harmless compared to the proliferation of easy, like cell phone driven mobile sports betting, that's very normalized as just like, just having a fun time. I'm just having a fun time. Play the lottery is a tax on dumb people that don't understand probability. Meanwhile, dude, Jose Urbe is definitely gonna hit a home run in the 6th inning tonight, right after I got to think of a major league pitcher. Right after Justin Verlander throws a curveball for ball 3 on the 6th at bat, you know? I think the lottery is like relative. It's like a Campylobacter and Salmonella infection should be. It's self-limiting. They do a draw every 2 days or something like that. It's like my grandpa, the more I've talked to my parents, the more I realize, you know, what my grandparents were actually like as human beings instead of just people that gave me like a $50 gift certificate to Toys R Us every Christmas. They're like, yeah, your grandfather was pretty much like a degenerate gambling addict, but at least back when he was alive, he had to drive 45 minutes to get to the casino, and that shit closed at like 11. And I was like, you know what? That's a good point. He would be in a real rough spot in the modern era where you could just log on to some kind of like, you know, offshore online casino and put your life savings in and lose it in a second. At least when he was addicted to gambling, he had to get in his car, drive to the casino, make up an excuse, like lie to his wife, drive back. Kids these days, they don't know what it's like to have a crippling gambling addiction. You used to have to buy gas or get on like a shuttle. You couldn't just do it like on your phone when you're supposed to be asleep or anything like that. There was no crazy time.